Treo Eile is the Irish for another direction. And that's exactly what we do. We look for another direction for racehorses when their careers are over.
Moss Tucker on the stand side. It's a rejuvenated Moss Tucker.
When you come out of Dublin Airport and you come to the first roundabout and you get a sign to go to Northern Ireland, you get a sign for the M50. And then there's another pointer where it says to you, other direction. And underneath it in Irish is Treo Eile. So it's one of the first signs you see when you arrive in Ireland.
Treo Eile actually offer regular training programs, whether it be jumping or flat, so which is a huge help too when you're trying to retrain them.
My name is Anne O'Connor. I'm the Executive Officer with Treo Eile. We have three pillars. We connect, we support and we promote the retraining of racehorses. We have a portal, so it means the racehorse trainer, the racehorse owner, they have a means to advertise their horse to say it's available. Also, it allows people like me who may want to source a racehorse as my next project to be able to source a racehorse. Our support the horse going into retraining with their rider through means of training clinics. And then the third, which is probably quite important in terms of getting word out about what we do. This is a fine example of promoting our work. Declan Landy, who's very prominent in fencing in Ireland, came on board and actually created this enclosure, the Treo Eile enclosure. You do have what is actually an elite athlete in training, and you're asking that elite athlete to come on board and be our pet and fit in with our way of life. So there's a certain amount of transition to be undertaken. Moss Tucker was in training, really connected with the rugby scene, owned by a gentleman, Donald Spring.
My wife and I breed pedigree Angus cattle down the country, and a friend of mine, Paul Magner, interested us in listening to horse stories, and my wife said, why don't we get a mare and breed? So we did, and Moss Tucker is the result of that breeding.
Donald Spring played rugby for Munster. They played the All Blacks, the Munster squad, they beat the All Blacks that year. And it was named after two players that played with him, and that's how Moss and Tucker came about.
The person who has him is Isabel Carl in Mullingar. So Isabel took on the retraining of Moss Tucker. He is a Group 1 winner.
Moss Tucker and get ahead, go by equality. Moss Tucker on the stand side. Eyes up on the flying five. It's a rejuvenated Moss Tucker. What a score for Billy and Ken Conlon.
This, I have to say, was probably the most excited I've ever got in my life, apart from when I met my wife.
He's a Group 1 winner, and he's won listed races, and like all sports stars, he loves a challenge, and he just answers every challenge that comes or question that comes his way.
There's a lot of retrainers out there, experts in this field, and then very much let the horse settle. It should be like telling a major rugby player that their new career was in embroidery. Very sedate, very calm, where they're used to being a high energy sport. There is a bit of work, but it's very rewarding, and I think the most important thing is we have the training clinics, but also we have that grassroots level competition.
Will you tack him up and I'll get my boots? He only retired in April, so it's some turnaround for any horse. Never mind a thoroughbred that was fit and heading towards more racing. To come out of training and adapt the way he has is phenomenal, really. We weren't expecting him to retire quite so soon. He was in training early this year, and he just wasn't firing the way he used to. So they decided to pull him out of training, and that's when he came here. So he came here in April. The aim then was to see could we get to the RDS. It's a big show. It's in the middle of Dublin, and that holds show classes, show jumping. They have a racehorse to riding horse class there. They all come together. It's a bit like the Olympics of showing.
He comes to the RDS, one of his first events. He had been doing some of the minor shows and ends up being placed in the RDS.
You know, you never really know how they adapt, and he's terribly intelligent. He's a horse that you teach him something once and that's all you have to, you know, he takes it on, learns and heads on. He answers every question you give him and loves it. We have a gallop here, and as soon as his hoof touches that sand, he gives a different feel, let's say, and he knows where he is and the different surfaces. So he's a very intelligent horse, and yeah, he'd give moments of. But I suppose you have to read the horse and adapt yourself to meet their needs as well, and just it is a gradual process. I mean, Moss adapted it very quickly, and I think surprised us even how much he took to it. We have great facilities here actually. We've got a forestry which has lots of tracks to go around. We've fields, the arena, and then some hacking as well. He loves the varied work actually, and yeah, and then he's out pretty much most of the day. Donald Spring and Laura Williams are still very much involved. They've had him throughout his whole life and still very much adore him. Just seeing him in such good form and enjoying his life still. He's done the full circle. He was bred, born, went into racing, and now he's back here being retrained. It's a real privilege really and an honour to be able to ride a horse like him, and one that's just loves pleasing, loves his job. Yeah, I mean, he's a real dude.
It taught me it was possible. It taught me that there was no reason that the majority of racehorses could not find a second career. It also taught me that a lot of people are focused on performance and they're focused on having to be at the highest level. But that's not always the enjoyment that you get from horses. As I always said, my horse was my personal trainer and my therapist. To go hack out around the road or to compete, you got that buzz. And I got it from the thoroughbred. They were just so willing to learn.